Now, before you think this video is in any way a commentary on Patty Jenkins as a director, please understand I am not saying that in the slightest. Quite the contrary, actually. I think Jenkins did sensational work on bringing Wonder Woman to the big screen, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, which is also the reason why I'm patiently awaiting Wonder Woman 84. No, the reason I'm talking with you now is because every time I see someone say, the only good DC film is Wonder Woman because Zack Snyder wasn't the director, how can that actually be any kind of reason for a logically thinking human being? What you're essentially saying is that A, you don't know what collaboration means, and B, you're not aware of Jenkins personally saying she would never have thought about hiring Gal for the role, and she thinks Zack's casting was perfect. As do I. Sure, you could say Wonder Woman is the only good film for DC, but that means you're comparing it to films you don't like, meaning your validity has no base. In order for you to say that, one needs declaration of reason and thought, factual information for argument's sake. Without reason, your claim is simply a bad choice of words. Wonder Woman is a great film, and I think some were so blinded by their hate for Zack Snyder that they were unable to see just how much respect Patty Jenkins has for him. But allow me the opportunity to show you that if you enjoyed and loved Wonder Woman, then you should enjoy Zack Snyder films. Otherwise, you'll sound idiotic when you say you liked Wonder Woman because Zack wasn't involved.
This is Sparta!
Do you remember the first time you saw 300? I remember walking out and thinking, I've never seen anything like I just saw in a comic book film. Of course, Sin City was a breakthrough as well back in 2005, and I loved it for its uniqueness and making the graphic novel come to life. But Sin City was different. Rodriguez stuck to Miller's panels so much, he was adamant that Frank Miller be billed as a co-director, which is why he left the DGA. Talk about not compromising.
Amen.
So, when I went into 300, I thought what I would see was comic page images come to life. I had no idea the fight choreography and the now famous timeline ramping and action zoom was what I would be blessed with. Snyder does that with ease by allowing the scene to show wide shots back to close-ups of all the action unfolding as if we're watching comic pages in motion to the big splash on screen. Now watch as Jenkins does almost the same technique, only with her unique spin. I should also add that in Man of Steel, Snyder doesn't have any slow-mo fights.
Oh shit.
And in BVS, the only slow-mo shots do not involve fighting. If your argument for a film being good or bad is based on other people's opinions, and you're not able to share your own thoughts, you might be the reason we no longer get director-driven films in the future. They'll just be beige. That's the color representation of mediocrity and safety. So to say Zack Snyder's DC films have none is to admit you're reaching. Take BVS compared to Wonder Woman. It's almost like a continuation but with different directors. I can even salvage an arm and a leg from Mary Shelley's version of Justice League and can tell that Snyder was attempting to keep the color palettes in line with everything that came before it. That was, of course, before the butchering of turning up colors and nighttime shots to daytime. If we're also going to bash Snyder for fight scenes at night, why aren't we allowed to point to his daytime fight scenes in Man of Steel for the good? But then, how would arguments work if I can only highlight what works for mine being right and yours being wrong? We could stop saying Wonder Woman has color if you say BVS and Man of Steel don't. And another would be to not say the CGI works great for Ares and not for Doomsday, when both are fictional characters that do not exist in a real world. I mean, seriously, you're going to say that these films should use practical effects? What's next? Using stop motion for creatures like Clash of the Titans? You see, you really shouldn't use one film to criticize another. They make colors work for the situation within each film. It's why Themyscira is green and beautiful, and Krypton is brown and ugly. One represents growth and abundance, while the other represents decay and destruction.
Just could share.
Well, haven't you noticed? We've been sharing our culture with you all morning.
Yours is a fascinating tribe.
I don't think I've ever heard such a ridiculous claim than when I hear Snyder is a misogynist. As I'm speaking, there's literally dozens of men in a loincloth fighting each other. Add to that, in every single film Snyder has created, almost all the female characters embody strength and are never dependent on a male.
No. I just found it.
This is Queen Gorgo talking to King Leonidas.
Save his world when the very laws he is sworn to protect force him to do nothing.
It is not a question of what a Spartan citizen should do, nor a husband, nor a king. Instead, ask yourself, my dearest love, what should a free man do?
She even tells the Persian messenger,
Do not be coy or stupid, Persian. You can afford neither in Sparta.
What makes this woman think she can speak among men?
Because only Spartan women give birth to real men.
the epitome, on film that is, for being against misogyny is Sucker Punch. The first all-female team-up action-adventure against women allowing men to oppress them. If you saw previews of this film and thought it was meant as a male's fantasy of adventure, that speaks more volumes about you rather than the film. At Feora.
You're weak, son of hell. Unsure of yourself. The fact that you possess a sense of morality and we do not gives us an evolutionary advantage.
Ms. Lane.
Lois Lane.
Colonel Hardy, U.S. Northcom. Dr. Emil Hamilton from DARPA. You're early. We were expecting you tomorrow.
Which is why I showed up today. Look, let's get one thing straight, guys, okay? The only reason I'm here is because we're on Canadian soil and an appellate court overruled your injunction to keep me away. So if we're done measuring dicks, can you have your people show me what you found?
Martha Kent.
The craft he arrived in, where is it?
Go to hell.
This thing, this creature, seems to feed on energy.
And of course Wonder Woman BVS.
This thing is from another world. My world.
I've killed things from other worlds before.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
You get some of the best and most important women in these films, as well as allowing his female characters to fight just like the male characters do. And we've seen what a male feminist does with these same characters in Justice
You were
League.
the thirstiest young woman he ever met.
This beach scene alone showed me just how great it was to see these Amazons fighting in unison. And I felt very emotional knowing my daughter was watching powerful women fight men with ease. The main thing I want to highlight is that with both directors, men and women are equals, in that one isn't demonized by the other. It's not men are good, women are weak, or women are good, men are evil. Queen Gorgo is King Leonidas' equal. Feora is sub-commander because she is a leader.
And I've arrived
Lois is a
at the
Pulitzer Prize-winning
inescapable
journalist
conclusion that the
before
object
she
and
meets
its occupant
Clark.
did not originate on Earth.
Wonder Woman doesn't fall in love with Steve Trevor because he's the first man she sees. No, she is able to watch and see the kind of man he is before she even considers her feelings for him. With all these similarities, one does wonder just how can someone truthfully declare that the reason they love Wonder Woman is because Zack Snyder didn't direct or had no influence on the film. You also wouldn't be able to say Wonder Woman has color and is the only film in the DC universe to have it. If you love Wonder Woman, as I do, then there really isn't a reason you shouldn't enjoy the other DC films, unless you're easily influenced by others over cinematic art. To you, I say, may you live forever.